having a Magic Monday here, and I'm glad everyone can be here. Um, like I said, prefer mics unmuted if you can stand to do that, because that way we're able to capture reaction and interaction and that kind of thing, something that we're all trying to get a little bit more used to. And for you, while your mic is unmuted, pretend like you were sitting at an IHOP with Kent presenting, and maybe not have your TV turned up and that kind of thing. You know, like you were focused and paying attention. Appreciate that. Does everyone have a deck of cards?
Brand new, never opened.
Oh, that's perfect, because Kent has specifically requested that they be in new deck order. I imagine we're going to have an exercise on that. And I guess without any more ado, I will turn things over to, get ready for it, the fantastic Kent Cummins.
Okay. Now am I supposed to be able to see myself spotlighted?
Well, it may or may not work on your screen depending on how you're set up.
Will you start by teaching us how to open this deck?
I have no objection if you open it, just don't take it out of order.
Can everyone see Kent full screen?
I'm in gallery view, is that? I'm on full screen in gallery view. Want me to take it
you
off
want to
of full
switch
screen?
to presenter view, and it'll show who's actively speaking is full screen. So while you're teaching, you'll be full screen.
Let me try spotlighting.
Okay, I can see you now.
Again.
Yep.
Haha, now I can see me, which is important at this particular point. Welcome everybody, and thanks so much for coming on short notice. This is just something that we thought, hey, it's actually Monday. That'd be a good time for a magic meeting. Out of This World is my favorite card trick. And I first saw it in 1954 at Duke and Eddie's Magic Shop in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was in the 6th grade. And on Saturdays, I would go to the magic shop. Duke was Duke Stern, who some of you may know and some have known, and some of you may have only read about. But Duke Stern was an amazing part of the magic world in the last century. And Eddie, I never really got to know. I assume he was the guy with the money, because that definitely wasn't Duke. And the interesting thing about Duke Stern is he had sort of like a junior magic club. I was probably one of the youngest members of the junior magic club. I was in the 6th grade, but he didn't have us call him Mr. Stern or Duke Stern or Sir. He had us call him Dookie, and that's the way he wanted to be announced, and so that's what we always called him. So that was Dookie. So he had a TV show once a week in the local market where he did magic. That's the first place I saw Mutilated Parasol. Oh man, I fell in love with that. And I went to the magic store to buy it, and it was $15. There's no way I could afford that. But I would typically go to Duke and Eddie's every Saturday and spend a few hours until, you know, I felt like I had overstayed my welcome. And one time I went, and Duke was just getting ready to do a magic trick for one of the grown-up customers. And so he let me watch. And as I remember it, he took a deck of cards, shuffled it, handed it to the guy, told him to divide it into 2 piles, red on one side, black on the other, but don't look, face down. And then when he had done all that, he turned over the piles and they were perfect. One side was all red, one side was all black. And I was stunned. And I said, oh my gosh, I have got to buy that deck of cards. Because I assumed I had a Svengali deck, I had a DeLand's dollar deck, I had a stripper deck. I knew about trick decks of cards. And I thought, man, this is one I've got to get. And Duke looked at me and he said, well, Kent, I'll sell you this deck of cards for $5. Now, most of you already know how the trick is done, so you already know why that's funny. But also stop and think. $5 in 1954 would be worth $48.16 today. So it would be the same as telling a 6th grader, sure, I'll sell you a deck of cards for $50. I mean, if I had had $5, I would have bought a Temple screen. That's what they cost back then. So I didn't have the money, so I couldn't buy the deck of cards. I remember going home to my mom and saying, "Oh, Mom, I saw the greatest magic trick, but I can't afford it." And she didn't take the hint. I didn't get one for my birthday or anything. And then it was probably, while I was in high school, probably about 1959, we had moved to Baton Rouge, and I was at Baton Rouge High School, and they had the Teenage Book Club, and you could buy little pocketbooks. They were about $1 back then. That's when first class stamps were 3 cents, by the way. Postcards were called penny postcards for obvious reasons. And so one of the books was called Something Up My Sleeve. It was a magic book. So of course I bought that. And of course I still have it. Here it is. I'll put it a little bit closer to the camera. Nothing up my sleeve, or something up my sleeve. Magic up my sleeve. Magic up your sleeve. Anyway, it's by Patricia Lauber. Now, the thing that makes that particularly interesting is this was 1950s. There were no books by female magicians. In fact, look at the cover. The magician illustrated in the cover is a female magician. Now, it's still unusual, but it was unheard of in the 50s. All of the books that I had were called Magic for Boys, or The Boys Book of Magic, or this sort of thing. And here was a book for 25 cents by a girl. And it was a darn good book, actually. It was very good. And of course, what I still try and do with books is I went through page by page, reading it. And I got to the card trick section. And when I got to the card trick section, I found a thing called Red and Black. And it was just talking about tricks you could do that took advantage of the red and the black. And then they had a particular trick called the Talented Spectator. And I got out my deck of cards and I did what the book said to do, and I performed it. And all of a sudden I said, "Oh my God, that's Duke Stern's magic trick. That's the trick that I saw at Duke and Eddie's. I can't believe that I got for 25 cents the secret to this trick." And I started performing it. I mean, it's a wonderful trick. And it's probably by the time I got to college at LSU, at some point I learned, probably somebody told me, that it was by a magician named Paul Curry, and that it was called Out of This World. And so I started doing a little bit of research. It's long before Google, so research was harder back then. But Paul Curry invented Out of This World in 1942. Basically just months before I was born, January 6, 1943. And it has been called the best magic trick of the century. And of course, they were talking about the 20th century, but I still have a hard time finding a better trick than Out of This World. And so that's when I learned what it was. That's when I learned about it. And it became my very favorite trick. And Chris and I were looking for something that we could do that might interest people. As you know, we're trying to get pictures of people doing card tricks as though they were being taught something. And this is maybe a chance to do that. We are recording. So if you don't want your face recorded, click the camera off. But I thought to myself, it's really a shame that you can't do Out of This World on Zoom. I mean, obviously you can't set up the cards. You can't pick up the cards for the final reveal. And then I started thinking about it. Wait a minute. There are ways that this could be performed on Zoom. And I'm not the only one who's experimented with it or tried it, but I'm the first one I know of because I didn't have any help in terms of how to do it. And I thought, okay, how would I do this on Zoom? If I were performing it for a prospective client, say the director of the Paramount Theater called and wanted to talk to me about doing some stuff and wanted to see me perform, I could send him one of my suits of cards. Now I have 3 souvenir decks of cards. This one is the one with Margot and me, our wedding photo on the back. And the reason for this deck of cards is Margot asked me, it's going to be our 52nd wedding anniversary. What's this 52nd anniversary? And I laughed and I said, playing cards. And she said, no, it isn't. But I decided, yes, it is. And with Carolyn's help, because we're members of the Advertising Specialty Institute, we found a place that would do this. And every card, it's a different from one of the years we had been married. So that's a pretty cool souvenir I might send to who I was doing the trick for. This is the souvenir deck of cards that I had made for the 70-year celebration back in November. Some of you all were at that show. And if you were in the VIP room, you got a souvenir deck of cards. I think we only bought 50, and they were the only people that got this souvenir deck, but I have a few left over. And so depending on who the client is, I might send that to them. Or Carolyn and I recently got, I don't know, 150 of these playing cards, which are Magic Hotline cards. They have my name, my website, and that stuff on the back. And the regular cards are just cards, but the back design is me and with a more current photo. So I could send them a souvenir deck of cards, and they might think it was tricked, but by the time Out of This World has been performed, how are they going to think it's tricked? And plus they get to keep the deck of cards. And I thought, all right, what if I don't want to send them a souvenir deck? Well, I could go on Amazon. I could find a place that will sell one deck of cards and ship it. Probably have to pay outrageous shipping unless you're a Prime member, but if you're not a Prime member, why aren't you? Anyway, so I could have that deck of cards, maybe a set of blueback bicycles, Amazon shipped directly to the client. And it would get there quicker in most cases than the USPS, which is how I would be mailing these, and wouldn't cost that much more. And then they would really feel they were getting an ordinary deck of cards. But in every case that I just mentioned, the cards would be in new deck order. And that's going to be part of what I have been working on. And I'm wide open for other people's ideas. But it's what I've been working on in terms of how could you do Out of This World on Zoom. And then I thought, well, now it's also not necessarily necessary for me to put a brand new deck of cards in their hand. I could instruct them in how to put a deck of cards in the new deck order, and I might do that if I had 10 people or 20 people that I was trying to do the trick for. If I was doing the trick for a bunch of people instead of, did I get everything out of there? Yes, instead of just one client. And that's what we're replicating here. We've got a dozen or more people, and I want each of you to be able to perform Out of This World for yourself. Now, I know most of you, if not all of you, are very familiar with this trick, but try and put that aside. Try to not think about that, but think about what if you were just a muggle and somebody was giving you these instructions. And the first thing I would probably do is give you instructions on how to put the deck into new deck order. I'd tell you, if it's shuffled, put all the diamonds, the clubs, the hearts, the spades, then put the diamonds in order ace through king, then put the clubs in order ace through king, then put the hearts in order king through ace, then put the spades in order king through ace. And I realize not all cards have that new deck order, but the ones that I've been using do. And it works just as well if it's ace through king, ace through king, ace through king, ace through king. That doesn't really matter, but we want the audience members to be thinking about things that don't matter as though perhaps they do. So even though you don't actually have to put the cards in order in each suit, I would definitely have them do that. As though, was that something else they have to think about? Well, I wonder what that had to do with how the trick was done. Because if you've ever performed Out of This World, you realize there are no card tricks you can do after that. That has to be your last card trick because it's so amazing to people. So that means that I have a whole bunch of people who have decks in new deck order, diamonds, clubs, hearts, and spades. And there's something interesting about the fact that decks are in diamonds, clubs, hearts, and spades, because that's the order that you memorize when you buy the DeLand dollar deck. Well, it's not called the dollar deck anymore. It's called automatic playing cards, but it used to sell for $1. It was the DeLand's dollar deck. And they told you to remember DeLand's cards have superiority. Diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades. And it was years later before I realized that's chased with diamonds pushed to the end instead of to the beginning. So anyway, diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades. So if you haven't taken out your deck of cards, do that now. If there are any jokers, they're the jokers, take them out. So you should have spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds, and take the ace of diamonds and the ace of spades out, that leaves you just 50 cards. So you've got 2 cards sitting on the mat in front of you, a red one, the ace of diamonds, a black one, the ace of spades, and then you have 50 cards, and it's good to have 50 instead of 52 because it makes the statistics easier to compute. Because we're not doing a magic trick. We're going to test your intuition, and we're going to use some of the principles that were used by Dr. Joseph Banks Rhine in Duke University back in the early 50s. 50 cards. But you know what? They're in order. So let's cut them in half. The easy way to do that is just take the hearts and spades away from the diamonds and clubs. Okay, that gives you 2 half decks, 25 cards in each. And take those, and what I'm hoping you'll do is one strong riffle shuffle. Do the waterfall if you like. It's not necessary. So now you have 2 cards that are going to help us determine what we're doing. And then you have a deck of ordinary cards that's been shuffled so you don't know what the order is. And that's really important. Now, in a moment, I'm going to have you pick up that deck. You can pick it up if you like, but don't deal any cards, don't do anything until I finish the directions, because I want to be sure we're all on the same page. See, you're going to deal the red cards in a pile over here, underneath the ace of diamonds, and you're going to deal the black cards in a pile over here, underneath the ace of spades, but you're not going to look. Do not look. And so that means you're going to put a card here if you think it's red, your intuition, and you're going to put a card here if you think it's black. Now, let me warn you right away. They are no longer in an order so that you do red, black, red, black. I don't care if you did a perfect pharaoh. Forget all that. The red one's here, the black one's here. Let me show you what it's going to look like. I think this one's red. Oh, this one's red too. Oh, this one's black. God, another red. Oh, these are black. But you see, I'm using my intuition. I'm not looking at them. And I'm going to put them all back on for now, because what I'd like you to do is to just deal out about half of the cards. As a matter of fact, to make this easier to keep track of, deal out exactly 25 cards. The red one's here, the black one's here. Don't go back and forth. Do a random kind of an order, but I'll go ahead and do the same thing. You don't have to count out loud if you don't want to, but it's all right if you do. I'm going to count out loud just so I can keep track of it. So go ahead and deal the cards. Random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Stop at 25. Leave them upside down. Make 2 neat piles. Get a drink of water. Okay, I'm assuming that everybody has that. Now you're hoping that these cards are all red. You're hoping these are all black. They probably don't have the same number of cards in them. It doesn't matter. But at this point, we're going to make everything a little more difficult because it will allow us a higher level of determining how well your intuition actually works with a simple game of cards. So you can pick up the other half that you haven't dealt out yet, and you can guess what's going to happen. You're going to deal them here and here, but make 2 new piles, and if they're red, do not put them here. Put them under the black marker. And if they're black, put them under the red marker. And this is actually significantly more difficult because we are creatures of habit. And we've gotten into the habit to where, oh, the red ones are going here, the black ones, and now you're going to have to completely break that. So go a little bit slower, but do the same thing you did before, creating 2 new piles. The black ones under the red marker, and the red ones go. My piles are all different thicknesses. So yours may be too. It's perfectly acceptable. Now,
When
what
you're
we've
done,
tried
say,
to
"I'm
do is
done."
to use our intuition. Oh, okay, I'm done.
I'm done.
All right, looks like
Chris is
everybody's
probably
ready.
watching the windows and seeing people are still dealing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Everybody ready? Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about what we're going to see. We're going to see a certain number of red cards, a certain number of black cards in the pile that we asked for them to be. And they're not all going to be right. Some of them will. And what would actual chance give us? Well, there are exactly 50 cards, and each has a 50-50 possibility of being right or wrong, red or black, whatever. So chance would give us 25. But it's a small set. There are only 50 cards. So if there's 20 to 25 or even 25 to 30, I'd say anywhere between 20 to 30 cards correct, you can be perfectly happy. It's normal. It's what we expect. But what if you get more than 30 cards correct? Well, that means something is happening. It could just be luck of the draw. That certainly is a thing. It could be what Dr. Joseph Banks Rhine called extrasensory perception. It could be what Saul Ravencraft calls a psychic happening sometimes. But here's the interesting thing. What if you have fewer than 20? Well, according to Dr. Rhine, that is equally important. If you have more than 30, you might have some psychic abilities with your intuition. But if you have fewer than 20, you might also have those abilities, but there's something in your brain that's causing you to do the opposite of what you're supposedly trying to do. And we've all known some people like that. So let's take the pile next to the ace of diamonds, the red ace. And here's what we'll do. And we can all do it together. We'll take that pile, we'll turn it face up. And for every card that is red, we'll put it right here next to the ace. And for every card that isn't red, we'll put it in the middle. I've got a bunch of red ones here. So this is, ooh, wow, okay. I don't have any in the middle yet. But if you get a black one, just put it in the middle. It's no problem. I would expect you to have some. That one, no, that's red. My eyes again. That's, Jesus. Okay, sorry. All right, well, I happen to get them all right, which is very unusual. It doesn't usually happen, but we'll have.
I got them all right
lots of
as well,
mistakes.
Kent. I got them all right. I got all of them correct as well, Kent.
That's amazing, particularly since you're from Sweden. I mean, okay, anybody need more time?
Did anybody get any right?
The next thing we'll
I had one off.
Off by one.
That's
I
fantastic.
was off by
Don't feel
two.
bad about that. That's still very. I mean, when you consider the odds, that's amazing. Well, let's
Now-
take the
now
stack
I'm-
down here,
I'm-
the one that's under the red. I'm listening.
I'm just curious as to whether the people that were off,
we
did
ready
they
yet?
find that were you off more toward the beginning when you started or more toward the end?
More towards the end.
Interesting.
Fatigue sets in, yeah. You're probably
Yeah.
doing it too fast.
Or
Interesting,
arrogant.
because you're paying less attention as you go. You just want to get finished. Oh,
You get
that's a
cocky.
great insight. I think the insight was from Saul, not from Chris. Okay, the one that's underneath the red, but we hope to be black, pick it up, please. Don't do anything yet. But what we're now going to do, and I'll do it with you, is we're going to put a new pile here. And if it's black, that's what it's supposed to be. Make the pile. If it's red, nah, it should have been elsewhere. Put it in the middle with those others that are wrong. Okay, let's start looking. Oh, good. My first one's black. And yes, yes. Go through as fast as makes you comfortable. I have, seriously? Because of the shuffle, they both ended in aces. That's funny. I've got 3 aces in a row. That has never happened before. I've never gotten them all right before. Whew. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Don't look ahead. This gets more interesting as we go along.
I
And when
did
you
it
finish
again,
dealing
Kent.
cards, so you're done.
I did it again.
I missed 2.
And did you miss 2 before?
1 the first time.
1 before. 2. Interesting.
So you're getting worse.
But you guys obviously have.
So everybody who got more than 25 right, give me 2 thumbs up.
Well, we don't know exactly because we don't know exactly how many cards.
Well, but I mean, you can get a feeling if you seem to. I mean, anyone who got 3 off did pretty well.
Agreed. Agreed.
Was there anyone who didn't feel like they did well at all? Are they all just kind of mixed up?
I didn't do very well at all.
Okay.
Okay.
I was off by 2 the first pile and off by 3 the second pile.
Well, that's pretty
still-
good,
still
actually.
good.
That's way
Oh,
above
good.
statistics.
And I suspect the reason I did so well is just because I've done so many times. Okay. Let's take the pile that's underneath the black ace, put it on top of the other pile, pick it up in dealing position, and don't do anything because this next part is scary.
When you got your cards
Let
right,
me-
just hold them up in front of the camera so we can see you got your cards.
Hey, Ken, I have a question. If we miss
Sure.
some, do the second pile, the ones we missed from the second pile, go on top of the ones we missed from the first pile?
They could just all go in the middle.
Okay.
Any ones you miss can just go in the middle. It's scorekeeping, basically. Now, let's stop and think about what we did. We took an ordinary deck of cards. If you didn't, it's on you because you did. We took an ordinary deck of cards. We shuffled it using a legitimate shuffle, no zero shuffles or anything like that. We then carefully took out a red and a black marker. And then we carefully, never looking at the cards, put them into 4 piles, some red, some black. And one thing you can be sure of, I didn't affect the way that you did any of that because I don't have the ability to touch your cards. Chris, am I still on? Are you still hearing me?
Yes, I wanted everyone to be able to see each other for
Okay.
a moment.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just occasionally my internet goes out and
Oh,
One of my
no,
spotlight
you're
went
in
off.
good shape.
okay. Follow these instructions carefully because this is scary. Turn the cards face up and start putting the black ones right here by the black ace. And I'm hoping that you've got a lot of them because I sure do. And just keep doing that until you get the first red one. And if it's more than one, start your red pile. And oh my God, I think I got them all right. I don't think I've ever done that before.
I did them all right as well. Wow.
That's absolutely fantastic. Chris, you want to get some scores?
I did much worse on the second 2 piles.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Only
many?
missed 1. Mhm.
Probably 13 or more.
Whoa.
Wow.
11.
Well, it's the first time. You can't get it right the first time.
So most of you did far better than average,
Yep.
which means you have a natural tendency to use what some people call extrasensory deception, an intuition that for a silly card game can have stunning results. Imagine what would happen if you use that same intuition consciously in everything that you do. Well, you may as well applaud now. It doesn't get any better than this. Okay, now let's get some more of the background information. For example, there is this book. This is Paul Curry's only widely distributed book, trying to keep it out of the glare, Magician's Magic, and it is very highly thought of in the magic community. I looked, and Vanishing Ink says they have a few copies left. That it normally sells for $16.99, and they're selling it for $12.99 or something like that. And you can always find perhaps a used one or something on Amazon. But it is an amazing book, and it's not just card tricks by any means. See, Paul Curry was vice president, what was it, Blue Cross Insurance, I think in New York. He was a New York resident who was primarily in the insurance business, and he was a hobbyist. He was an amateur magician, but oh my gosh, what a brain. And the things that interested him, he put together in this book. And yes, there is an entire chapter on Out of This World. Bertel just sent me something from John Bannon saying, it's got to be the best card trick ever. And there are lots and lots and lots of variations. There's a variation called Out of This Universe. There are variations that you can do without presetting the cards and so forth. And I've looked at every one of those I could find, and I've never found one that I actually liked better than Paul Curry's Basic One, which is what we just did. Now,
Hey, Ken.
if anybody was at the card group, yeah.
It's interesting that we're doing this today because I got an email from either Vanishing Ink or Penguin Magic that they're releasing a book, Worlds Apart by Paul Curry.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the one I
Yeah,
sent you.
Sorry,
Ken.
They're re-releasing it.
Yeah. It's Worlds Beyond by Paul
World
Curry.
Beyond, but
I have it.
and if you go look at the trailer for the book,
Yeah, that's the one I sent you, Ken, today.
Right.
If you look at my screen,
Yeah,
That's it.
because I just got mine today.
wow. $60, right?
And Paul Curry, oh, thanks for sharing the screen. Paul Curry also had, I think it was a booklet on the color changing deck idea, which is, some of the best work on that. And it's not as readily available, I don't think, but I haven't looked for it yet. I don't think I have it in my collection. I'm going to go look probably tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about the basics of Paul Curry's Out of This World. Okay, the basic is very simple. You divide the cards into all red and all black, put one on top of the other, and then have them deal them out into 4 piles and cheat the way you showed the last 2 piles. That's the basic. Wikipedia says the method is simple and practically self-working. Yeah, but done by somebody who just does it and done by somebody who really infuses it with their personality and with some interesting twists, obviously that's going to be better. Now,
Ken, did you say that this is in Wikipedia?
I was the featured cardician.
Kent, did I hear you right?
No, I didn't say the instructions for it were, but the instructions for it are online. If you do a Google search in Out of This World, you'll find a place that gives you the instructions.
But not Wikipedia. Okay.
But you don't want that. You don't want that. What you want is the whole, his complete work. Martin Gardner is one of the people who says it's the best there is, so, so when I was doing stuff for the card group, we happened to be at Stan's house, and I wanted to do my take on Out of This World, which I'm about to give you. The idea of trying to do it on Zoom is new to me. This is the first time I've done it with a real audience, so I'll be interested in feedback later. But I didn't want the people in the card group to know how I did it, which sounds stupid because everybody in the card group knows Out of This World. So what I did was I borrowed a deck of cards. And since anybody in the card group was a friend and we might have rigged something up, I asked Stan if he had just an extra deck of cards hanging around somewhere. He says, yeah, I always keep one. And he wandered off and came back with a deck of cards. And I don't have his deck of cards, obviously. But I took it, looked through it, took out the jokers, and it wasn't in any particular order, but I went ahead and handed it to somebody, probably Roger, I don't even remember, and asked him to shuffle it. And so they took the deck and shuffled it. And I may have had a couple people shuffle, or I may have just had one person shuffle it as many times as he wanted. I have the sense that maybe it was shuffled 3 times, but I don't really remember. It doesn't matter. Point is, it was a borrowed deck that was honestly and fairly shuffled by somebody who was not, in on it. And then I performed Out of This World. And the way I was able to do that was because I had all the red cards on the top and all the black cards on the bottom after he finished his 3rd shuffle, because I made one cut, because it's a stripper deck. And what I had done was taken an ordinary looking stripper deck, put all the reds a different way from all the blacks, mix them up a little, put them in an ordinary box. This is not an ordinary box. Put them in an ordinary box and just agreed that Stan would loan them to me when the time came. So people might have been suspicious that I had a trick deck, but then when somebody shuffled them and shuffled them and shuffled them, obviously I can't perform Out of This World at that point unless I do the one where I pull them out while you call them, which is a different method, a different way of doing it, and one that I just don't like as well for whatever reason. So if you're going to perform Out of This World with your own deck of cards, and there are lots of times when you might want to do that. For example, if you're a restaurant worker, very few of your customers are probably going to just happen to have a deck of cards handy to hand you. You can ask them. And if they do have a deck of cards, you can do the trick with their deck, of course, because it's an ordinary deck. You just have to have a way of setting it. But if they don't, say, well, we'll use mine, go ahead and shuffle it. Now, something you have to realize is that some people turn the cards the other way when they set up for a dovetail shuffle. And if they do that, then you mess up your stripper order. But I had looked to watch some people, and I knew somebody that did it the way that I do it, which doesn't mess up that particular order. It's the natural way I shuffle, and this person also shuffled that way. But if I had gotten messed up, if they had taken the stripper deck and turned it around and shuffled them into each other, I just would have gone into my normal routine of how I reset the deck. So it wouldn't have hurt anything. It just would have taken longer and not been quite as amazing to the magicians that were in the audience. Now, speaking of doing this at restaurants, it's not particularly a good tabletop trick because it takes up a lot of the table and it takes up a lot of room. And so it's not something you would normally do in a restaurant, but it's something that I always have available just in case for particular situations. Like if a couple off in a booth by themselves and they want me to spend some time with them, I can do a couple quick tricks and then do that. And once I've done that, they're happy and I stop. And I always carried a deck of cards with me when I was performing at Gaddytown. We did lots and lots of magic at Gaddytown for several years. And one of the things I would occasionally do is just strolling magic. It was a lot of fun. And this one particular night in the corner booth, which we turned into a stage on nights when I did a stage show, but in that corner booth was 4 or 5 teenagers, I'd say high school age probably, and they were just giggly high school teenagers. And they were fun. I did some magic with them. They enjoyed it. They had a good time. And then after we were getting ready to quit and I put everything away, they said, "Hey, magic guy, come do another trick." Well, I didn't have to. I was off duty. But, why are you there? And you're trying to make friends for the customers at Gaddytown. So I went over and decided to do Out of This World. And I took out a deck of cards and I had them shuffle it. And then I told them what was going to happen. And I gave them to the giggliest girl. And she divided them into the 4 stacks. And I'm getting ready to do the reveal when I realized I never set the deck. I never put the red cards on top and the black cards on the bottom. That was a genuinely shuffled deck. So I filed that information aside and said, let's see how you did. And we looked a little more quickly than usual, and she hadn't done that well. It was all within the range of what you'd expect. But what I did then was show them a little bit of razzmatazz to reset the deck. And it was actually pretty easy because we're going through her cards to see how many she got right. So it was pretty easy to get them separated into black and red. So then I had them separated, did just a little bit of false cuts and that kind of stuff. And then I went to her boyfriend and said, let's see how you do. And now it was set. So boyfriend got them all right. She got it normal. They were absolutely incredulous. I got a $5 tip from teenagers, and that was the end of that. But you know, out of this world is what I do when I go to people's houses for dinner, and they ask me to do a little bit of magic afterwards. And I don't want to do a lot, but I borrow a deck of cards from them and do out of this world. So I think the last thing that I have to show you is something that I think was inspired by Jay Malbrough. Jay Malbrough was Count Mutt in Baton Rouge, was a host for old classic horror movies on a local TV station. And he would come into the Checker Fun Shop where I worked as a magic demonstrator while I was in college. And we would just swap tricks and he would share things. He's the one that showed me this. God, I haven't done this in 10 years. He said, cut the cards. That's great, thank you. Except when he did it, of course, seemed like 3 feet over. And so we would just share ideas. And his idea for Out of This World to do the setup was you want people to know that the deck is shuffled. So why not show them a lot of shuffles? Show them the dovetail shuffle with the waterfall finish. Show them the overhand shuffle. It doesn't matter if they fall. You can show them the underhand shuffle. You can show them the trash collector shuffle. You can show them the Aggie shuffle, where somebody told the Aggies that what you do with a shuffle is you mix them up as much as you possibly can. And you know, it's a military school. If there's one thing Aggies are always good at, it's following directions. If you tell them what to do, they're going to do what to do. And so they would just mix up the deck frontwards, backwards, right side up, downside in. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. But that's why we call it the Aggie shuffle. And then there's the cow pasture shuffle while we're in College Station. And there's the very thrifty shuffle. And so you see what's happened. I do the spring, except these are new cards and they don't spring very well. I say these might. Yeah, let's do the Russian shuffle, one card rushing after the other. And Berkel's got some great additional ideas on that. So clearly, these cards have been incredibly shuffled, and yet they're all the reds, all the blacks, okay? And for some reason, I didn't stop there, and I'm not sure why. I would typically do this if I was at somebody's house and had a borrowed deck of cards and say, you know, we're going to take some statistics over this next experiment, and so I want to find out I want to make sure we have enough cards. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 5, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 42, 43, 44, 5, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Excellent. It's a full deck, and probably the jokers are gone, but hopefully the aces are here. Let me find, oh, there we go. There's a red ace, and, oh, that was easy. There's a black ace. Now, what do you think was the most effective shuffle? I think it was, that was really effective. One fell on the floor. The dovetail. Now, did you follow what I did? I had them half black, half red. Then I converted them to half black, half red, half black, half red. So when I shuffled the two together, I'm getting mostly black on the bottom, mostly red on the top. There may be a few in the middle, depending on how good my shuffle is or how bad my shuffle is. But in the first place, a few wrong doesn't hurt the trick. If anything, it makes it more believable. In the second place, when I go to get the aces, I can make a couple quick corrections if there's some bad corrections. So by the time I've got it set again, it's ready to go. And it was this idea, which I think was inspired by Malbro. Opie says he taught it to me, but I learned it before I met Opie. So clearly he and I, maybe he learned it from Jake. I don't know. But it's another way to just mix through the cards and get them set the way that you want. And the audience's reaction is, he shuffled and shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. If there's one thing I know, they're my cards and they're shuffled. And yet you're ahead because you have them separated red and black. And it was this idea that allowed me to figure out how I wanted to do it on Zoom. If you have a deck in new deck order, they're red, black, red, black. So if you cut them in the middle and shuffle them together with any kind of a good dovetail shuffle, you've got the situation where you shouldn't have more than a few bad ones one way or another. And if you did have more, either it was you misunderstood an instruction, or you had a really bad shuffle that one time, or you shuffled more than once because you had a bad shuffle the first time, so you did it again. And of course, that's not ideal for what I'm doing. So those are things that I've been working on. Chris, you told me something that Alain New was doing. You want to share that with the group?
Yeah, let me bring myself up here.
I don't need to be spotlighted anymore.
Let me unspotlight you there. That's probably why. Let's see. There we go. And you see if I can get my camera to come on. I don't seem to be able
The
to get
camera
my
is
camera
on.
to come on.
That's the only thing you can see is your camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, but you want to see my face.
That's not what
Thank
said.
you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Basil. All right. Well, you don't need to see my face to see what I'm going to show you. Alain New did a show. He's doing a series of shows. You may have seen the announcement I did. It's a great example of what can be done in a virtual show. And he did a version of Out of This World. And it turns out that this is a commercially available version of Out of This World. So let me bring that up where you can see it. So this is Penguin. I'm sure it's available through other places, but Adrian Lacroix is a Spanish magician and has come up with an approach to this that helps get everybody into the right order themselves, deals with the middle bit in an interesting way, and works perfectly well over Zoom. Alana had us all have a deck of cards and walked us through. Now it is a procedure, but I don't know how you do this without a procedure across the camera there. Kind of hard to do that. It's only $9.95 instant download on Zoom, or not on Zoom, on Penguin, and I thought it went well. I was able to reverse engineer it to a degree, although I did confuse myself a little bit, which was kind of fun. But everybody doing this together, even people that were knowledgeable, seemed to enjoy doing it, and the fact that it came out well. So that was a lot of fun. Another thing that I noticed is that
Can we see her demo? Can you click on her demo?
Yes, go to Penguin and look it up, and you can watch that.
I thought you could click on it now.
No, not. I mean, I guess I can try that. I mean, so everybody, do you all want to watch this video, or would you rather watch it on your own time?
I'd rather watch it on my own time. I did have a comment for Kent on the presentation. And that is, it was highlighted, my point was highlighted when you brought up that thing on Penguin. Kent, it was very difficult for me to tell the difference between your red cards and your black cards, which, as you might imagine, is crucial to the trick.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And so I was going to suggest that anybody performing this pay special attention to proper lighting. I don't know what you had there, Kent, but I'm guessing that overhead lighting coming straight down on the table would do a lot better, because what I saw was basically the cards just being glared out. It was overexposed. And not only could I not distinguish the colors, I couldn't even distinguish, the number of pips or anything. Kent, are you there?
Clive, I think because you don't need to see anything because you're holding the cards. It's your cards you're looking at, not Kent's cards.
Well, that's true, except that
in your hand. He doesn't even have to have cards.
all right.
In the performance that Alain did, he did not
The only
follow along.
for having cards
He just described the procedure and watched everybody doing
to help
their
people
thing.
understand.
All right, maybe I'm missing something crucial here, but when I followed the instructions, or at least I thought I followed the instructions and did everything according to Kent's instructions, I did horribly. I mean, I did, everything was random pretty much. So I was not amazed at all by my performance. I was amazed by Kent's
Was your deck
performance.
in new deck order?
Okay.
Yeah, I did. But I don't know. I'll have to go back and try this again. I mean, I know the basic concept of the trick, but I was just following you.
Right.
And maybe I screwed up somewhere, but mine was definitely no better than random. So I was.
And it was in new deck order.
Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't, but I followed your instructions.
You had
I know what new deck order is, and I thought that I put them in the new deck order,
Okay. And you had a clean riffle shuffle, dovetail shuffle?
Yeah, it wasn't the best riffle shuffle in the world, but it was close enough.
But it shouldn't have a dozen cards off.
Yeah, I'll have to.
And there's
So I take Bertel's point, which is if the miracle occurs in front of you, then yes, there's no problem. But even so, this is in general just a suggestion for anybody who tries to do virtual card magic, is make sure you've got good lighting, because otherwise the spectators can't really see your cards very well.
That's true.
Thank you for that feedback.
Okay.
So, hey, Kent,
Yeah.
I saw a lecture recently where they were using glass. It was particularly for a Zoom kind of thing. They used glasses to place the cards in to have them facing up, so it was more visible that way.
Okay. But Chris and I noticed, we started an hour before you all did, and we noticed that the red cards were almost indistinguishable from the black. And so we put a lamp over, but that washed it out even more. We moved things around, we moved the table, and in this particular environment, we weren't able to get it where they were clear, but it didn't really matter what my cards were. What mattered is what your cards were. And I'm trying to think if, as to the mistake with 13 bad ones or whatever, if it was a new deck order, if it was a reasonably good shuffle, then I think it's probably that you picked up the two decks for the last reveal in the wrong order. That would really mess you up. But then you'd have more than 11 wrong. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'll go back and try to reconstruct what happened.
Yeah, if you figure it out, let me know, because I may very well be performing this in real life.
Yeah.
I think though that this is what Clive is saying is important, because when you're doing a presentation like this, when using magician voice, everybody who did not miraculously get all the cards sorted correctly using their intuition is wrong. And that doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, no.
And so to me, it's a presentational aspect where if anybody got this better than average, that's kind of amazing. And if you and you and you and you and you got it better than average, something really interesting is going on. Now, who's someone that didn't get better than average? Clive. Now, that is very interesting. There is something going on with you. You are somehow shielded. I want to do something with you because you're an interesting person. And then you go on to the next thing, using Clive's special abilities to not join the crowd for some reason.
Yeah, you're normal, Clive.
Yeah, how about that?
Congratulations.
So I
Well,
think
wait a minute,
that
but
if you're pushing the idea that everybody must get it right, and anyone who didn't screwed it up, I mean that's not, that doesn't make any sense.
Agreed.
No, you, in a performance, you certainly don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was under the impression that several people spoke up and said they hadn't gotten it perfect. So
Well, it's okay if it's not perfect by 2 or 3. If it's not perfect by 20 or 30, then that's less extraordinary.
But this is a workshop, not a show.
Yeah.
The whole idea, I'm trying this for the first time. You all are thankfully playing along and helping me with it. So the fact that you didn't have so many correct is a vital part of what I'm learning from this evening. I appreciate that.
I have something to add on this.
Okay.
And yeah, it does involve on the presentation part, but it's more around the context. Because I've done this kind of trick a few times in a training situation in companies. And I always framed it up as about following instructions. And so the debrief of it, I mean, most people did really well with it, but there'd be maybe a few people who completely botched it. And but we talked about the importance of following instructions, because in order to do it correctly, everybody's got to follow the instructions to do it. Otherwise, they mess it up. And so it also boils to, it has a point around following, but also giving the right instructions so that people understand it. So that's
I think I know the effect that you're talking about, Terrell, and I've been using that as well. And one of the things that I've worked around, I mean, anytime you do something like this, I think you're always going to get somebody, some percentage, you're just not going to do it right for whatever reason. Even if your instructions are really, really good, and if they're too good, they may sort of impress the method too hard. So with the one, are you talking about the one where you have the 2 halves of the cards?
I've done that one. I've done Out of This World, and I actually never thought about doing it, but I saw another trainer do it a number of years ago. And the way he framed it up was about using your gut instinct to make decisions. And, it kind of worked out like Kent did it, and people were blown away. But he told me, he said, you don't have to do it that way. You can do it around following instructions, and then you have the opportunity to do a debrief, unpack it around how you follow instructions and how you give instructions.
And I guess that depends on the purpose, because to me, the following instructions really advertises follow my instructions and this works. It's just math.
Right.
And that's not necessarily what I want to do in my performances. What I did, I always try and have a presentational out. So okay, the left hand card talks about the wish that you need to apply yourself more logically to. You need to follow your reason on this. The right hand card talks about the wish that you need to be more open and not try to be so controlling of it. And if you happen to have two cards that match, congratulations, things are in really good balance and you're on the right track. And I don't expect a lot of people to have a match, but they do. Whoa, something's going on here. This group is special. And so to me, I think depending on how you present it, I think there's always a way to let whatever outcome happens be the right outcome and to mean something that drives the next step. You can make it okay by letting it be okay.
Yeah, that's the whole goal.
I have oh, am I on mute? Oh, okay. I have a issue with this, Kent. There's one big problem that I think is there,
Okay.
and it's a methodology issue. It is the fact that you're starting with a new deck order, having them split it directly in half and shuffling it. And so there's a backtracking issue where if I wanted to think about the trick, I could easily backtrack that the deck was red and black at the beginning. Something that you might want to consider as a possible fix is having the people take up the cards and having them do an overhand shuffle where they just strip off a few cards at a time. Because all that an overhand shuffle does is just reorient the deck so the top's at the bottom and the bottom's at the top. And this will at least give them the illusion that they're actually shuffling the cards. And so having them strip off just a small bit of cards, and they could do that more than once. You can say, go and do it again. And as long as they're stripping off like 3 or 4 cards at a time, it's not going to mess up that order too much. The middle cards may get mixed up, but it's not going to be it's going to be fine. So I just did 2, and I think I've got 1 card that's off, right?
That's interesting. I'll experiment with that.
Yeah. I think that's methodology. I think that's the only thing that's going to cause an issue later on is that they're going to go, well, I shuffled the cards originally. They weren't mixed up. They were just red and black.
And of course, I have to know how they are originally in order to perform this particular trick.
Well, you do, but the person who's doing the trick, right, on their side as a spectator, they can go back and think about it and then realize what's happened. And so now they can break down the trick. And I know people will say, nobody really thinks that way, but this is a bread and butter trick for me. I do out of this world all the time. And I can tell you that people do think like that.
Sure. And I think the way that I did it tonight, where you have to have your own deck of cards and put them in new deck order, is part of the problem. I think if I send them a souvenir deck and have them shuffle it, that thought is not as bad. I mean, yes, everybody knows
yes,
that.
Yes and no. I think a big part of this trick is that the way that I do it is I start with an actual legitimate shuffle deck of cards, right? And I have them shuffle it many times in front of me, and I have them pass the deck around, and that makes it very powerful. Mm-hmm. I think even if you gave them a souvenir deck and you said, okay, I want you to open this up, I want you to take out the promo cards, I want you to do this, they can still go back in their mind and say, this deck was put back into that order. And I think that they could still backtrack that. And so that's one of those issues that you want to try to remove that backtrack. And I think maybe an overhand shuffle will fix that.
But Albert, I just did the overhand shuffle, and there's still red, black, red, black. There are 4 different piles. So don't you have?
Yeah, no, you have it in half. So you do your dove shuffle.
Yeah, you do the riffle first, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's red and black, and then you do your overhand. Yeah.
Yes.
And as long as you do small clumps, it will just it'll just reorient the deck.
Yeah, that'll work.
Interesting. Oh, there is one other thing I meant to say during the performance explanation part, and that is obviously what I did to pick up the 2 groups and show, I'm showing them the wrong colors at the wrong time. And it's the same philosophy that you use in the crosscut force. You say, I'm going to mark the cut which makes no sense at all. And anybody that's paying attention can see where the original was, but you distract them with something else so that their brain lets go of that and is thinking about something else. And then when they come back, they don't care. And so that's the way. I tried several different ways, but if you turn them face up each time, then turning them face up seemed to be the same type of thing. But I wouldn't let them do anything until I had recapped, and remember we did this and we did this, and we did this. So that their brain had to think about those things, and then they lose track of what had happened. That has to happen after you've put the two piles together.
I have one other idea that could add to the mix-up, and that is, okay, so once you've done the dovetail shuffle, and you tell them, all right, cut about a quarter of the deck, or not more than half, and then put it down, and then cut another, like a third of the deck that is in the middle, and then another third that is, well, whatever left over. Then you have them shuffle each pile to that pile, and then you take the middle pile is the one that's going to have all the mixed up cards. You have them pick up that pile, pull out a black and a red card, and then you can go into the routine. An idea.
I like that, Terrell.
And
because
I'm
it gives
happy
them
to
the visual
report-
of it being shuffled.
Right.
Kent, this is Clive. I'm happy to, or well, I don't know if that happy, but anyway, I'm glad to report that I have debugged my problem. And I, in fact, did screw up the new deck order. So your instructions are absolved.
Oh, well, that's important to know. Thank you, Clive.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what did you get backwards?
I don't know. I had all four suits separated, and I thought that I'd put them into chased order, but obviously I didn't. And I had black, red, red, black instead of black, red, black, red.
Ah, yeah.
That would do it.
I would do it.
Thanks.
Do we have time for a short story about this trick that happened to me?
Before we do that, could everybody who has a deck of cards just hold them up and fan them out? You too, Albert. Yeah, just show them to the camera. How much credibility do they possibly have? My question, what will the media? That is terrific. Thank you. Back to you, Berto.
So, 1982, my first visit to China, I absolutely wanted to go to Chinese movie theater. And our guide said, why? You don't understand Chinese? And I said, I just want to feel what it's like and see what they're showing. And we went to this movie theater. And before the main show, they had a documentary about Chinese children doing experiments where they put things in little boxes, metal boxes, and then they gave the box to the child, and they asked the child to think about the box and tell them what was in the box. And it was amazing, because for me as a magician, it was like, this was science in China. This was something that they were really proud of, and they were trying to figure out what kids had this amazing ability. So I saw it, I remembered it, and that was it. 15 years ago, I was invited to dinner here in Austin, and it was only 4 people at dinner. It was my host and his wife and another guy, and the other guy's name was Hal Puthoff. And we had a nice dinner, and we started talking, and I told him that I was a magician. He said, oh, interesting. I've been working with some magicians. I had a research project for CIA about remote viewing. they gave me $20 million to check out if people could sit and think about other places and see what was going on there. And I told him about this Chinese study, and he was like, yeah, the Chinese was working with it, and that's why CIA started it, because they were afraid that the Chinese would be ahead of them, right? They couldn't let that happen, so that's why they spent $20 million on it. And then I said, actually, I can test you right now if you have this ability. He said, yeah, I've been tested so many times, I don't have it, but we have other test subjects. And I said, well, try it. And I did Out of This World for him. And he got it all right. And he said, what you just did is more amazing than anything I've seen in this $20 million project. That's a true story. No lies. And then he took me to his lab. His lab was here in Austin, and they were working on Perpetuum mobile and all kinds of machines. They didn't have $20 million budgets any longer, probably a $1 million budget. But I don't know if the office is still here, but 15 years ago, there was an office in Austin, and he was an Austinite.
Well, you may be aware of the fact that Martin Gardner devoted several chapters of his science debunking or pseudoscience debunking book to Puthoff and his partner, I think his name was Targ, and conclusively proved that they were complete frauds. And as far as I'm concerned, that was CIA money that was embezzled.
Yeah, but it was a fun project. He was lecturing on it too, and he gave me a video. I have a video that I wanted to show at the meeting sometime, where he talks about all the things they figured out. And one of the best part, I think, was they were doing remote viewing from a submarine. So they were underwater, trying to see if it worked underwater. And they were thinking about the Russian site. And suddenly one of the research people said, oh, everybody, stop now. Don't think anymore. They're thinking about us.
Oh man, my son went to Boy Scouts with his sons. His sons were really, really good kids. And it took me a while before I realized who their father was and that I had read all about him years before.
Wow.
Well, Ken,
that was
would
the
you
end of
say
my
that
story.
the formal presentation is concluded at this point?
I think so.
All right, so
Thank you.
right now this is just free time, and if y'all want to hang out and socialize and chit chat, you are welcome.
Well, I offered if somebody wants to open mic.
I have something.
I
need to drop off. So thank you all. Have a
Thank you,
good
Michael.
evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to see you.
Uh,
I gotta take off, guys.
okay.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming, Angela.
Bye.
I gotta go
Bye.
too. I also have to leave as well. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, whoever's left, I'm going to do this. And all you need to do is pull out, let me turn off my virtual background. Hang on. Pull out any suit of ace through king, whether it's hearts, diamonds, spades, whatever. Just pull them out of your deck. I'm going to do hearts. I'm going to shift this so you guys can see it. So I'm going to do all my hearts.
Oh, all of them. Ace,
Yeah.
Okay. I
All
thought you
the
went 1,
hearts.
2, 3, 4. Okay.
One suit of cards, like
Yeah.
hearts, diamond, it doesn't matter. Just
I
so
love
it's
magic with all my hearts.
all the heart. It doesn't matter if you're using whatever suit, just so you got all of them from ace through king.
Doesn't matter what suit as long as it's hearts.
It could be spades, could be clubs, could be diamonds, just so long it's one suit. Mhm. And then you want to put them in order. So put the king down, and then the queen, and then oh, I'm missing the jack. Jack, and well, you know the rest. The 10, the 9, the 8, the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody have that?
Yep.
Ace should be on the bottom. King should be on top. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the ace on the bottom, flip it up, and put it face up on top of your pile so we can track where that is. All right. And go ahead and give the pile a cut. You know, you can cut it a few times. And now here we're going to mix this up. This is kind of like a what I call chaos to order kind of situation. So right now we're going to create some chaos. So you're going to deal from left to right. So from your left to your right. Okay. So you've got 3 piles here. Take the pile on your left and put it on the pile in the middle. Has everybody done that? Now you can take the pile on the middle and either put it on top of the pile on your right or on the bottom. It doesn't matter. All right. Now flip the cards over and you can see that they're all in a little chaotic order. They're not in ace through king anymore. All right. Now keeping them face up, go ahead and deal from left to right again. There you go. All right, now pick up the pile in the middle and drop it on the pile on your right. Take the pile on your right and you can put it on top of the pile on your left or put it on the bottom. All right, now turn the packet face down. I've got the ace on top of mine, but it doesn't matter, you'll be wherever you are. And one more time we're going to deal down from left to right. All right, now you're going to take the pile on your right and put it on the pile on the left. And then take that pile and put it either on top or underneath the pile in the middle. And go ahead and give the cards a cut. And then what you want to do is spread through and find where that face-up ace is. All right? Take all the cards above the ace and put them on the bottom. Now you're going to take the ace and tap the packet 3 times and say, order from chaos. 1.
Order from chaos.
Chaos. Put that ace down and turn over the first card. It's a 2, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King.
Got it.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's fun.
It's a download I got recently called, well, it's the name of it, Order from Chaos. And it's by, oh, he's one of those Chicago magicians. He's in that magic thing with Bannon and all those guys. And I'm forgetting his name. But it's obviously, you know, you could probably work it out yourself, but just doing it the way you do it, just make sure that it goes from king to ace. The ace is on the bottom, and then put it on top, and then you can cut it as many times as you know you can do. And then you're dealing, always deal left to right. And one of the things that I think is important, especially in any of these tricks we do on Zoom or virtually, is always spelling out, like working from your left to right, because obviously people are seeing you the opposite way. So always saying move from your left to your right, or right to left, whatever you're doing. And then it's all just after the first deal, the first packet goes on the middle, and then that packet can go, the middle packet goes either on top or underneath, doesn't matter. Then you deal left to right again. And this time you take the packet in the middle and put it on top of the packet on your right. Pick that packet up and either put it on top or on the bottom of the packet on your left. And then one more time you deal out, and this time you pick up the packet on your right and put it on top of the packet on the left, and then put it on top or on the bottom of the packet in the middle. So it's left, middle, right. And then at that point you can cut the packet because the packet's in order. And then all you have to do is have them spread the packet and find where the face-up ace is and cut all those cards to the bottom. And then do whatever magic spell you want to do. And then they will all be from ace to king in order.
Cool.
That's the process.
Thank you.
That's my virtual trick for the night.
That was excellent. Good.
I'm not in charge anymore.
So if anybody cared to, I would like to do that Out of This Universe, because I think that's such a cool
Great.
trick. I learned it from Leonard Green,
Yeah.
but I understand that Harry Lorraine is the inventor of it.
It's in his first book, well, Close-Up Card Magic.
Yeah, and let's see if I can. I don't have a good setup for. So you shuffle the deck, of course, and I'm not going to teach it. I'm just going to do it. Can you see the tabletop here?
Yes, it looks fine.
Okay. So all I need you to do is who will play with me? The gallery view here. Okay, to gallery. Okay, I see Chris. So who will play with me?
Terrell's waving.
I'll do
Okay.
it.
Okay, can you highlight my screen, Chris? Because I made room on the table here. So we're gonna do 3 piles here.
Okay.
So this is your pile, and this is my pile. Can you see my hands?
My pile's on the left, your left.
Yeah. Would you want red or black?
I'll take red.
Okay, so this is your pile.
Mhm.
If you think that this card is your card, I'm going to put it in this pile. That is, if you think that it's a red card. If you don't know, I'll put it in the middle, in the scrap pile, okay?
Okay.
But don't take it if you think it's black, because if it's black, it's mine. Okay, so do you think this is a red card or not? Or you don't know?
That's a red card.
Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Okay, so can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, you did it right. Okay, so now you know. Now it's my turn, okay? So if I think that this is a black card, I will put it over here, but I have no idea because I haven't concentrated. So it's your turn again.
A red card on the red.
Okay, and now I am concentrating, and I think this is my card, okay? Your card?
That one I don't know.
Okay. And I'm not sure either. Okay. You?
Red.
Good. And black.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Red.
I don't know. This is tougher than I thought. I haven't practiced this. I'm sorry. Continue.
Red.
You're better than I am. Okay, I'm going to take a guess. This is black.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Red.
This is more difficult than Out of This World, because obviously, I mean, it can be anything, right? I think this is mine though.
Red.
You have a lot of cards there. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay. So we can stop whenever you want to, but do a couple more just for fun.
Okay.
That's my turn, right?
Is it my turn? I forgot.
I think it's my turn. Yeah.
All right. Red.
No, I don't know. That's tough.
I don't know either.
Okay, this is black.
Well, okay, one more. Red.
Okay. Okay, so let's stop. This is black. So it could have been like anything, right? And
Right.
I don't know how we did with the trash pile here. It's a big mishmash. Can you see the cards at all?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So let's see how I did first. This is supposed to be black if I was right. And I did it. And now the interesting part is, did you do it as well? And here you go. They're all. I think this is a beautiful trick. I've actually done it after Out of This World. And it really, really kills. And Harry Lorraine said that he did this for Paul Curry, and it fooled Paul Curry. So I love this trick too.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I like that.
Next.
There's a Bertle. There's a pointer to that works really well. When you start off that trick, if you ribbon spread, that'd be dribble spread. So you dribble spread the cards like this. Then you can give them you can see like there's some black cards here, some red cards here. The cards are really mixed up. We're gonna try this, and then you have them do the trick with you, and then you're set up to do the whole, the whole setup. But it's just
I
a
did
dribble
better than
spread.
that. I showed you the card before I did it.
Yeah.
I actually showed you all the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also another one. And then what I use is I use a little hotel bell. Ding, ding. I've been wanting to get one of those little chess timers.
Yep.
But then I have people play a game. And so they're playing a game, and this guy grabs a card, dings the bell, this person goes, and then it just becomes this like chaotic scene on the table, which is a nice little pointer on that trick.
So because this is a workshop, I don't know if you remember, but I made a very, very clear point of me opening a new deck of cards. And I did Kent's whole card trick. And I shuffled the cards and I showed you the cards. And this is why I thought of this trick as a perfect Zoom trick. Because when I said I need to move the camera, I did a deck switch, okay? So it's
Not the easiest deck switch.
clean. Yeah, it's absolutely clean, right? You can shuffle as much as you want to. You can show them the deck is absolutely mixed up. And then you say, let me just adjust the camera a little bit. And you have a deck switch and you can do the trick. And nobody thought about that, I can promise you.
How funny. Well, you know, I just recently did an interview with Gus Davis, Gusto the Great, for my Linking Ring column about setting up theaters, because he has a little bitty, like a walk-in closet that is, he's painted one entire wall green screen. So it's just, you know, it's absolutely amazing. And he performs on a big theater stage, which is pure virtual, pure green screen. And he says, even though it's very narrow, when he reaches his hands off to the side, he can drop something, he can pick up something, he can switch something, and it all happens so fast, nobody's aware of it at all. And he apparently uses that, taking advantage of what we think of as a disadvantage.
Yep, exactly. Next.
I really appreciate everybody coming to that tonight. This is fun.
It was a good time there, Kent, and I like the idea of just how it was very impromptu and it just happened, and it was good. I thought it was really good.
Glad you could be here. It was fun for me.
All right. Well, does that conclude our gathering?
I think it does.
All right.
I had a question. Did anybody happen to catch the Ben Seidman virtual show last Friday?
Not me.
I got an email saying that this magician Ben Seidman was doing a virtual show on Zoom called Ben Seidman Camera Tricks.
Okay.
And I was extremely impressed with his presentation. He had some very, very nice tricks, and apparently he's doing these things periodically. I don't know how often, but it sounded like maybe weekly or whatever. And this particular, I think he had probably 3 or 4 dozen people on Zoom, and quite a few from Austin. I don't know how it was promoted, but some really, really outstanding effects, including a bill serial number prediction that I have no idea how he did. It was great.
Can you put his name in the chat so we can start keeping an eye out for him?
Yeah, I will send. Yeah, I'll send his name on the chat. You can Google him. But one thing, what he did, or some of the stuff he did, was so amazing, and I think that Bertel has definitely hit upon a major aspect of virtual performing that gives a huge advantage to the magician, and that is that half of the universe is not seen by the audience, namely all of the stuff behind the camera. And so you can be doing all sorts of stuff out of range of the camera that you couldn't get away with in a regular live performance, whether it be, you know, deck switches or whatever. And I think that can be used to great advantage.
But you can also intersperse video with the audience not knowing that you've interspersed video.
Right.
Erica was telling us how flawless the Magic Castle's Academy of Magical Arts presentation was, and then he found out the whole thing had been done in advance.
Yeah.
Just watching the video.
And talking about the things made in advance, you all know that the TOM convention is coming up this weekend, and it's free. So Saturday and Sunday there will be several magic shows and lectures, and I think they've all been pre-recorded, so it's going to be flawless, I hope.
Well, Friday night is the junior show, right?
So yeah, I have the program in front of me here. So convention opens, you're right, Friday at 7 p.m.
That's probably one of the shows.
7:30 is the Junior Stars of Magic show. And you can find all of the information on the TOM 2020 website. So TUM.org/2020. We have the complete program. And then on Saturday, there is World of Willard, which is a presentation by Scott Wells. Then there is the Nick Lewin lecture. That's the same one that the SAM 206 did 2 weeks ago. And then
it'll be different.
Say again?
It'll be different. It's another live conversation, right? They're not
Yeah,
just playing video.
No. But he tested it on us. So it's the same lecture basically, and he's going to make it commercially available. But he will do it live every time. Yes, of course. Yeah. And there's the Collector's Corner, where you can visit American Museum of Magic. If you haven't been there, I think that would be excellent. I visited that with Ron Cartledge a couple of years ago, and it's an amazing museum they have in Marshall, Michigan. And then there's an evening show at 7 p.m. again. So there's a show Friday evening and Saturday evening. And then there's a gospel show on Sunday morning at 9. So go to TUM.org/2020 and take a look at the program. You have your weekend set.
Thank you. I already have my weekend set. That's Margot's birthday on Friday.
If you don't know already, I mean, some of you may be familiar. There's a Magicians Forum. It's called the Magicians Forum. And this guy, Rudy Tanico, runs it, but he's been doing, they've been doing a lot of lectures, and they're real cheap, like $10. And this last one they had George McBride, gosh, I'm afraid, John Bannon, I'm forgetting because I missed one, and but just the George McBride lecture was vastly worth it all. And it's all card magic. There's a little bit of coin stuff, but for the most part, it's all card. And just throwing it out there, it's great, great lecture for $10.
Hey folks, I've got to step away. My family's been waiting for me for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead. Bertil is the host, and so he'll be able to keep the meeting going and close it all down. Thanks everybody, and I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Chris.
See you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I have a real
Thanks,
quick
Chris.
virtual trick. If y'all want to give it a try, if it's
Sure.
it's kind of like out of this world. Take out 5 red cards, 5 black cards. It doesn't really matter what they are, but this is a nice little out of this world. So I'm going to move these forward. You can see my screen hopefully pretty well there. Put that down. 5 red, 5 black. Does everyone have that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait.
All right, once you have that, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take any one of that color. I'm going to take red. You can take black if you want. And I want you to turn it upside down. And then I want you to mix those cards together. I want you to mix them up. You can pick them up in your hand. You can give them a shuffle, but mix up the cards. So the red cards and the black cards are all mixed up, just like this. And you can see I'm going to clean these up and I'm going to spread them out. And you can see I have red cards and black cards mixed up and face down. If I was to ask you to separate this into 2 piles, to separate the reds from the blacks, that would be quite easy, right? Because you can see here, for me, I can see where all the black cards and I can see where all the red cards are, correct? I want you to push over 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And we're going to mix this up a little bit more. I want you to turn either pile in your right or left hand over, doesn't matter, but turn that pile over. So I turned over the pile on my right hand. And then I want you to deal 1 card from each hand on the table. So 1, 1, and continue. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You can see here that the cards are now really getting mixed up. Now you have red cards that are both face up and face down. Same thing with black cards that are face up and face down. In fact, you can even see I've got 3 red cards here at the bottom that are all together. I've got 2 black cards here that are together. They get mixed up real nice. We're going to go one step further. I want you to push off the top 2 cards. Just push off the top 2 cards to your other hand. I want you to turn those over, and I want you to give that packet a cut. See how easy that is? Do that again. Take 2 cards, push them over, give them turn them over, give it a cut. Continue doing that as many times as you want. 2 cards over, give it a cut. In fact, if you want, you can turn the whole packet over, and then you can do 2 cards, turn it over, give it a cut. Doesn't really matter. Do that as many times as you would like. Once you're done, we're going to move on to the next step. This is where the magic happens. When you do this, I don't want you to look at your hands, because if you look at your hands, I will promise you it will confuse you. So you can look up, you can look away, but all I want you to do is deal down 1 card and then turn over the next. Deal a card, turn over. Deal, turn over. Deal, turn over. Deal, turn over. Once you have that nice and done, take those cards. I want you to spread them out in front of you, and you will see that you again have separated the cards, the red cards from the black cards, just like in the beginning.
I screwed up.
Did you? I know what you did wrong. It was
I
the
know
Hummer
it was
Shuffle.
the turnover.
And then there's another phase to this. If you're doing this at home, guys. So if you're here and you got red and black, I'm going to show you the next phase. You can try this, but this is what it looks like. So before you mess with your cards, I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you can see you did a good job here. Red and black are mixed up, but you can see the red cards and the black cards are still, they're still technically mixed up. You can see them here. Red cards and black cards all mixed up together. But if I take those cards, give it a quick twist, I can separate the reds from the blacks just like that. So that last one, that one is the magician has to do. You can't do that. The person can't do it because it's a little hard to explain to them, but I will show you guys. So if your cards are like this and you have a face-up card, but the bottom card is, basically cut the deck anywhere so that you make sure that that's a face down. This isn't imperative. This just makes it easy for me to teach it to you. So the first card on top is face down. That's going to make it easy. So give it a cut so that that's done. But of course, the red and black are here. So this is how this is called. This is called the snowball separator. This is something I kind of came up with or discovered. You're going to spread all the cards that are face down until you see a face up card. So I see a face up card here. So I have 2 face down cards. So I spread those. I take those 2 cards that are above that face up card, or all the cards that are above the face card, and I turn them over. And then I spread all the cards now that are face up, and you can see these are all face up, and there's a face down card. I take all the cards above that face down card, and I flip them over. I spread again until I see a face up card. There's one right there. I take all the cards above that face up card, and I turn it over. And I keep doing that action until I've gone through the entire packet. And when you've done that, you will have separated the cards red from black.
Cool.
And that's called the snowball separator, that last part. It's something, and now you don't have to do it with the face down card on top. It could be a face up card on top. It's just that action of taking all the cards that are above it,
right,
and making a match. And that'll separate the cards.
Is that yours?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Right.
Very cool.
And you don't have to do, so here's one other pointer on this. So the whole trick's based on one move. Right, so this whole part of mixing these cards up like this. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't matter. It's not really part of the trick. When you divide the cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, this is the trick. When you turn one of these over and you deal them, you're going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So you essentially take the cards. You've done this and you wove them, and all you have to do now is unweave them. So the Hummer Shuffle is unnecessary. What works really good, I've done this in restaurants and other places, is I have the person just take the cards and give it a cut and then turn it over as many times as they want. And then take it, give it a cut, turn it over as many times as they want. So they don't know what's face up, face down. And this enough is for them to think that the cards, if they're doing this under the table, is for them to think that the cards are somehow getting mixed up. Of course, it doesn't matter, because what have we done? We've done this, and we have to do this. And that's where the deal down, turn over, deal down, turn over, deal down, turn over. And if you look at your hands, you really will confuse yourself, because you'll see face up and face down cards. So it's easy just not to look at your hands. You can also out jog every other card and then do a strip out and turn over. There's different variations, but that's the whole trick. Basically taking cards, turning them over, weaving them, unweaving them, turning them back over. There you go.
Thank you, Albert.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Very cool.
So, but it's a great little virtual trick because you can do it at home, and you kind of fool yourself.
Another version of the Happy Dwarfs card trick.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
That
So there you go.
shows you that silly trick from the Fun and Magic shop. You said, "Oh, I happen to be working on that."
And it works with any number of cards, or it has to be 5? Or
It just has to
uneven
be
number?
an equal number of cards in each color. So it could be 15 and 15, 100 and 100. It just has to be an even number, equal number. So, yeah. I just used 5 because I had 5 cards with me. So.
Cool.
Yep. There you go.
Just so you know, if you, with those 10 cards, if you, if I recall this correctly, separate them out and put them, you know, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black. All right. And all you're going to do is take all you have to do is take the top card, which is a red card. Wait a minute. Nope. Oh, spread the 5, you know, split them in half, and then do another mix up. And this is what you'll have. You'll have, besides the top and the bottom card, every other card will be the same color. 2 red, 2 black, 2 red, 2 black. So all I do, and I think you taught me this, Albert, you take the top card and the red card, and then you know that, okay, you've got 2 red cards, you give them a choice. And Burroughs was kind of what you did. And then you can take the next one and put it on the bottom and do the next one. Boom. And I do it usually just after, you can do it like 3 of them. I mean, you could do more, obviously, and show them they, you know, they got them all right and the others are still mixed up.
I didn't understand what you did in the beginning after having them red, black, red, black, red, black.
Red, black, all I did was mix them up again.
So do you want me to explain, Terrell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you have the card set up, red, black, red, black. It doesn't really matter which is on top, but you have it red, black, right? Then you push off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, and then you do this 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So now you have it where it is in that pattern where the top card and the bottom card are different.
Yes.
And you take the top card, you flip it over. Since that's red, I know that the next card in the pile is going to be, these 2 are going to be black. And then I take the bottom one, I know that's going to be black. So I know the bottom ones are red. And so then I say, which one of these 2 do you think is a black card? And they pick the one. I go, okay, perfect. Let's do red next. Which one of these 2 do you think is red? You think that one is. Which one of these do you think is going to be a black card? So that one. Let's do red. This one you think it is. And so now you've done the whole trick where these are going to match and these are going to be mixed up.
Good.
It's almost like there's that other Out of This World where you have them shuffle the cards and then you say, we're going to make a pile red and black. Do you think that this card is red or black, right? And they say red, and you say, okay, do you think this card is red or black? And they say black, and all that you're really doing is just pulling out all the same color.
Right.
You're doing the whole Out of This World routine by pulling the cards out.
That's how I do the Out of This World routine. I always start with a fully mixed deck, and I don't stack them at all, but I choose the cards.
Yeah.
And it's not suspicious at all. I even tell them, you're doing a really good job. So why don't I let you do it yourself? So when I'm done with the red and the black, the first set, and I know that all of the rest are black, I just put the deck in front of them and I say, do it yourself. I'm not going to choose.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the best impromptu version.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know. I think you can do an angle separation or a 1-2 count to get into what you need.
Or Woody Aragon's he's got it.
Paragon. Yeah, I think you can have motivation. I think the 1-2 count is an easy non-sleight of hand move. I know that two of you guys know what it is, but if you try this board, it'll take half the deck and turn it face up so you can see it, because we're not going to do the whole deck. It takes a while to go through the whole deck, but it's mixed up, right? So you want to make sure you have a mixed up deck, and you're going to spread the cards, and you're going to pick one color. So whatever color's on top. So mine's black, right? I have one card that's on top that's black, and then the next card is red. So I take all the cards above that red card, which is just one, and I set that down. That's one color. And then I do two colors. So I see red here, and then I do black, but I push all the red and all the blacks until I get to another red card. So that's two colors, right? See how that's one, two colors, and I drop that. Now one color, I just have one red, two colors, one color, two colors. And you can see, you know, sometimes you have it like this, where I've got red and then black, one color. And you repeat that action. So I've got that once, I square this up, and I do it again. One color, two colors, one color. And now that I've done that, I've separated my colors, red and black.
Yep.
And so that's an easy way to get into to it. If you're talking about, you know, we memorize things. Cards can be memorized, or they can be counted as long as you do them in clusters of cards, and you're just showing the cards. And I want you to try to memorize as many of these as you can, and you're just throwing them on the table, and you're able to separate those right underneath their nose without them knowing.
Is that Leonard Green?
That's Leonard Green. Yep, 1-2 the 1-2 separation.
Yep, yep.
Or the angle separation works really well, because the angle separation, you can angle separate it into red and black, and then you can angle separate it again, and you put it into suits.
And Woody Aragon has one. It's in his book on Book of English.
Book in English.
Yeah, where it's
Saparagon.
Yep.
Yeah. So like if that's red and you're just doing kind of like that.
Yeah.
You just go through, and then when you're done, you can actually spread them out, and then when you pick them up, you can twist them out.
Yep.
So this is the beginning of Leonard Green's magical career. In the 70s, I know him really well. I was sharing a room with him at a magic convention, and he was competing with his act. And the name of the act was Red and Black Cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole act at that time. And he was a medical doctor still, and he kept a deck of cards with him when he was waiting for something to happen at the hospital all night, when they had to sit there and just wait.
Yeah.
Well, my clock says 9 o'clock, and I believe in starting and ending on time. You guys can hang out as long as Bertha wants to, but I need to go see Margot.
Yeah. I tried to invite Leonard Green to be a guest performer at TOM 2021. And he said he really wanted to come, but unfortunately he had a stroke and he doesn't think he can travel ever again.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's phenomenal. I really like his thinking on stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to try again when it comes a little closer and see if he's better next summer. And maybe he can just come over and do a close-up show or something. But right now he doesn't feel like committing.
Even a talk, you know, even if you just did a talk on something, I think that'd be just brilliant, you know.
A talk
not even doing magic.
On Zoom?
No, I'm talking about like at the TOM for 2021. Even if you just did a lecture, like just a talk.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no.
I mean, I think people would still show up.
I don't know if his hands are still working. Yeah.
Yeah. Just talking about his theories and ideas, I think people would show up just for that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm still not giving up hope.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
We'll
Thanks,
see you
Kent.
next one.
Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. I'm going to stay till everybody's gone to make sure you're not doing any mischief.
Well, I'm going. Everybody's gone, so I'm leaving now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.